We've got 40 odd people in the webinar already, which is great. Thanks everybody for joining, and welcome on this sunny Friday morning. At least it's sunny for me here in Western Australia. So as I assume everybody understands, we're here to talk about accelerating low-code transformation and innovation within healthcare. We've got a range of esteemed guests from Velrada and Microsoft today, and an action-packed agenda, which I'll go through momentarily. I think I want to start with an acknowledgement of country. And so in the spirit of reconciliation, we across Microsoft Velrada, and I'm sure everyone on the call today, acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country of Australia and their connections to the land, sea and community. We pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We have an esteemed group of individuals joining today, and not myself including. We've got a few speakers from both Microsoft and Velrada. So we've got Essa, who many of you may already know, is a global black belt within the Microsoft Business Applications community, and a specialist across public sector and of course healthcare. And she's joined by her counterpart Sunam, who is a business value lead and specialist around enabling your organizations to get value from Microsoft Business Applications. We've got a few folks from Velrada. Scott Lucas is one of our senior technical consultants and has been involved in a raft of the innovations that we've been fortunate to deliver with Power Platform in healthcare. Shazil, who is a solution architect for us across the business application stack, and been involved in a range of cloud for healthcare deployments over the last few years, and of course Power Platform throughout. And Matt Pontel, who is Velrada's cross-platform director, and sits across all that we do within the Microsoft stack. So today's agenda, we've got only a few dot points here, but quite a bit to get through. So we're going to start off by giving you an overview of what we see in industry. So what's happening with regards to low code and AI adoption within industry, both from a macro industry perspective and of course healthcare specific. We're then going to pivot to give you a perspective on how you can release business value specifically for low code. And then we're going to pivot to some real world stories, and we're going to show you some use cases that Velrada have been fortunate to deliver with some of our innovative health customers over the last couple of years. And we're going to show you some of these solutions in action and give you a flavor for how you might be able to leverage the technologies that we talk about today to solve similar problems and challenges within your organization. And then finally, we're going to land on some next steps and some offers that are available from Microsoft and Velrada to help you get started with Power Platform and Copilot, and then also open up for Q&A. Just in terms of the format, we are here today in a Teams live event. You may not have been in one of these previously. There are a few extra options that you might not be used to. Whilst you can use both the chat and the Q&A functions, the preference for us would be that you use the Q&A. However, we will try and monitor both and respond. Feel free to pump questions into the Q&A as and when they come up, and we will keep a track of them, potentially try and pick them up as we go, or save them for the end and get back to you. So again, thanks for joining. I will pass over to Essa to kick us off and talk about industry trends.
Thanks, Jordan. So I'm going to kick off with a few analyst predictions on the future of low code. IDC reports how modern organizations today rely much more on technology than before, and the need for low code applications to solve problems quickly is increasing significantly, predicting over 1 billion apps by 2028. At the same time, full-time developers are getting harder to come by. And even if you have them, there's just simply too much for them to do. In fact, IDC predicts a shortage of developers of up to 4 million by 2025. Gartner views low-code as an answer that solves this from two ends. One, it accelerates professional development, but also establishes a new group of app makers, the citizen developers, and they predict that by 2026, 75% of apps will be built on low-code. Meanwhile, healthcare organizations have been burdened by an unprecedented volume of challenging moments that have forced many to rethink established norms and operational best practices. Examples of pressures that the industry is facing include the fact that patient expectations are higher than ever. McKinsey reports that 70% of them prefer digital solutions for all major aspects of their care journey. Healthcare workforces are experiencing burnout, reaching crisis levels. In fact, the World Health Organization predicts a worldwide shortage of 10 million frontline healthcare workers by 2030. And then there is the rising issue of data volumes. It's interesting that the problem isn't a lack of data, but a lack of interoperability and integration across healthcare systems. Today, hospitals produce over 50 petabytes of data a year and in upwards of at least 10 siloed systems. And as other industries like banking, telcos, and retail continue to lead the charge on technology innovation, there is constant pressure on healthcare organizations to do the same, to provide the same consumer experiences, especially in an era of generative AI. Notwithstanding cybersecurity pressures, in fact, analyst reports that healthcare has had the highest average data breach across any other industry in the last 12 years. Microsoft has invested in developing a healthcare data model template, the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare, which supports accelerated health transformation with trusted cloud capabilities for customers and partners addressing the most important needs of healthcare organizations. Each of these capabilities is composable, meaning they can be deployed individually or in groups. Many of our healthcare customers leverage their existing investments in Microsoft technologies and apply these capabilities to solutions already deployed in their environment, like Microsoft Outlook, Teams, or Azure. All of this is built with a desired outcome of delivering better patient clinical frontline experience, delivering better insights that drive positive change and overall better care across the entire care continuum. Our low-code platforms play a pivotal role to enhancing patient engagement and empowering care coordination, whether that is through a referral portal that drives personalized experiences for patients and healthcare professionals, to managing shifts and rosters, or mobile solutions that provide a 360 patient view to empower frontline clinicians to provide care to the community. And of course, this is underpinned by a platform that is available with over 1,400 connectors to enterprise systems and even EMR systems like Epic. Beyond healthcare clinical operations, we're seeing a massive uptake in the area of low-code app modernization, enterprise-wide, to run back-office operations, from modernizing Access databases or Lotus Notes to scaling and digitizing the good old Excel spreadsheets. We're seeing how organizations are using low-code to surface information from legacy systems, whether it is on-premise SAP finance systems or even ServiceNow solutions or Salesforce CRM solutions. In fact, Microsoft ourselves have deployed our own low-code technologies because we use an SAP finance system in the back end. Now, I promise you this is the only product slide that we will cover today, but for those on the call who may not know the breadth of our Power Platform, I thought it would be remiss of me not to cover off the basics. Our Power platform empowers healthcare organizations with an intuitive, collaborative, and extensible platform of low-code tools, making it easy to create efficient and flexible solutions to solve problems within healthcare quickly. Microsoft has the most complete low-code platform. But most importantly, we have generative AI, through Copilot, as we call it, embedded across the entire stack. The same generative AI large language models powering ChatGPT powers our platform, and that is through our unique partnership with OpenAI. Our platform allows healthcare organizations to accelerate app development through Power Apps to drive innovation and productivity, such as staff onboarding or even patient check-in apps. We can support hyper-automation to optimize workflow efficiency, better interoperability to reduce costs through Power Automate. With Copilot Studio, which we will be focusing on today, the evolution of our Power Virtual Agents is now supercharged with generative AI. You can customize and create your own copilots or autonomous agents or chatbots. Power Pages allows you to manage content and create websites securely. And finally, Power BI, the tool that everyone knows and loves, allows you to explore data and analytics. And with generative AI now infused in our entire Power Platform, you can now create modern solutions through natural language. Imagine being able to create an app but through natural language, converting an Excel spreadsheet. If you can imagine your solution and simply describe it in natural language, Copilot can create it for you with an intuitive and intelligent low-code experience. But don't take my word for it. Let's look at how analysts are ranking our low-code platform. In fact, IDC have now ranked Microsoft as a leader in conversational AI software. And we've made leaps and bounds in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, where our low-code platform and RPA solutions are now leaders in the Magic Quadrant. I'll now hand over to Sonam to talk about the business value of our platform.
Thank you, Esa. So when we talk about business value, and if I would just give you a brief introduction, when we look at Power Platform, we typically speak across two levels, which is your IT benefits and your business benefits. Now, IT benefits are industry agnostic. So we've seen more than 130,000 customers using Power Platform have seen these IT benefits regardless of the organization. So how fast can you develop these apps? What is the cost reduction in terms of the development effort, the maintenance effort, because you're able to use one platform? How can you consolidate some of your legacy applications to be able to reduce your total cost of ownership? But when we get to business benefits, depending on the industry, we've seen our customers really reaping benefits across your industry value levers. So for a healthcare organization like yours, it would mean employee engagement, productivity, saving valuable time of the admin, the clinicians, the nurses, the doctors. When it comes to the business outcomes, what does it mean in terms of reducing the healthcare cost or improving the healthcare outcomes or the patient experience, the patient engagement? So depending on what your business goals are, your strategic objectives are, we've seen those business benefits also being unlocked through Power Platform. As I mentioned, don't take our word for it. So what we do is Forrester does an extensive study with our customers who've implemented these solutions. It's called the Total Economic Impact Study. These reports are publicly available. The recent report that came out talks about customers who've used Power Platform have at least seen a 220% ROI on their investments with an amazing payback period of about less than 6 months. We can see that the developers have spoken about a 35%, a 50%, and in some cases, even a 75% reduction in those app development costs. But that's more as an overall framework around value when we look at it. But what does it mean in terms of an healthcare department? Now, this is an image which is not very easily readable because that is not the point. The image that you see here on the left are some of the use cases that are unlocked and enabled through AI for a healthcare organization coming from a McKinsey report. And what we've tried to do is just map some of those use cases which can be easily enabled through Power Platform, through Copilot Studio and low-code solutions. I will not be going into details of these use cases now because I don't want to steal the thunder from our Velrada friends who will be actually bringing these use cases to life and show you what it means for a healthcare organization. But when we speak about value, a lot of these use cases which talk about, let's say, a conversational intelligent chatbot or a patient engagement solution, any solution that helps you reduce the manual workload, takes away your paper-based task, improves the efficiency of your processes, reduces errors, we see there is a holistic value. So not just in cost reduction, but process efficiency. But at Microsoft, we believe in a holistic value, which is for a healthcare organization, talks about exceptional patient experiences and health outcomes, employee experience and engagement, improving your operational efficiencies, helping you reduce your cost. And this is, of course, built on a very robust foundation of trust with security and governance as the key value lever. But let's bring this to life a little bit more. Essa spoke about some of the challenges that the healthcare organizations are facing, right? So growing demand, patient expectations. There was something about skills and talent shortage. It was very interesting to see just within Australia, not just the shortage, but it is the turnover and the hiring rates. So it was very interesting to see that across all the jobs in Australia, healthcare jobs have the highest turnover and the highest job changes, which means that not only do you have the pressure to hire new employees, to onboard new employees, but also the employees that you have, how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them, how do you improve the retention rate for those employees? Again, growing cost of healthcare is something that we've been seeing with a lot of healthcare departments now talking about budget cuts. And also that is leading to their barriers to innovation. With those budget cuts and budget deficits happening, how do you invest? Low code innovation, AI is the answer, which really helps you address those challenges that Essa spoke about. When you talk about some of these low code solutions, the use cases, we really see that our patient experience goes up. Any portal or any chatbot that you provide for your patient access, it helps with their experience. It also helps reduce a lot of burden on your employees because as you can see some of the snippets here, just as a reference that I've put, a lot of the calls in your service organization are about standard queries which can be self-served. Your operations want to be self-served, which also then takes away some of your burden from the employees, improving their experience and engagement. Also, when we talk about the cost efficiencies, just one simple solution around, as an example, shift management or scheduling can actually help reduce 10 to 15% of your cost, but just think about what it means for your employee experience as well if they had control over their shifts and flexibility and transparency around this. By increasing throughput, by increasing efficiencies, you're able to reduce cost across those. And because this is a low code platform which has already a lot of these AI governance security built into it, Microsoft is committed to help you then lower the TCO and the overall cost of implementation. We did see some of the Forrester studies that spoke about a more than 220% ROI and a less than 6 months payback. So this is what we wanted to, just showcase and bring this to flavor around what does value mean for a healthcare organization and how does low code can bring value to your organization. Again, do not trust our word for it. We've got we've got a lot of our customers, and what we've done is taken some of their snippets, some of their inputs and feedback on when they've implemented the low code solutions, what did it mean for them? And as you can see, some of the text highlighted here, a lot of our customers talk about error rate, they talk about productivity, they talk about satisfaction, they talk about innovation, citizen development. So again, it's a very holistic value case that we've built, which is not just the cost, but it does talk about a whole other areas of value, from engagement, from experience to innovation, but of course cost reduction, because that does matter. We also want to measure our benefits and ROI from a financial perspective. Again, when we speak about Copilot Studio, on the top right here, we've seen that more than 50,000 customers, this is across industries, have already started using, and they're using Copilot Studio and already reporting a lot of benefits. Again, from a business benefits perspective, it's about 25 to 40% of the customer of the service calls are being reduced, because now they're being routed to a self-serve channel, which is low cost. From an IT perspective, they're seeing 40% reduction in errors. They're seeing an 80% reduction in the build effort. So this is not just low code, but this is also low cost from an implementation perspective. And again, Forrester studies again speak about a less than 6 months payback on Copilot Studio. So with that, that was a quick flavor on what does value mean when we talk about healthcare. What does value mean when we talk about low-code innovation? From here, we are happy to help support on the journey. How do we get you started? Happy to do some discovery envisioning sessions to understand what are those use cases that you're looking at? What are some of the challenges that we're trying to solve and can be solved through low-code solutions? How do we build a robust business case or a business value around those investments, around those use cases that we're making? And then also to see the proof of concept. How does it, come to life from those? With that, I will pass it on to our friends. So Jordan, take it away from here. And if there are any questions, I will look out for the chat.
Thanks, Anam. Obviously great to get that overview of what everybody's seeing in terms of industry innovation and the value that we can expect to get from Power Platform. Now what we're going to do is dive into some specific use cases and try to show you with some live demonstrations and recorded demonstrations of some of these innovations in action. So just for the people on the call that haven't been introduced to Velrada previously, we're an Australian organization, been in operation since about 2009. We're a little over 270 folks now globally, and we've been very fortunate over the past decade or so to do lots of work within healthcare. In the last few years, we've really focused our efforts on embracing how the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare and the Power Platform can innovate within health industry, and we've been fortunate to be hailed as a leader within the Microsoft community for that. We are a Microsoft Gold partner across a range of different competencies, and again, very fortunate to be recognized as a global leader for some of the work that we do with Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. So we've been like I say, busy within the healthcare industry, and this is both in terms of the ANZ region, but also globally, working with organizations of all shapes and sizes, from tech for social impact organizations and community-aged and non-profit businesses, right through to highly acute private and public hospital groups. And the reality is every one of them has slightly nuanced challenges, but their business processes lend themselves to the Microsoft Business Application Stack and the Power Platform. And so I thought I'd start by giving you an overview of just some of the use cases, some of the things that we've delivered within healthcare in the recent months on the Power Platform, to give you a flavor of the types of things that we've delivered and the types of problems that you could potentially look to solve for in your organization. And so I wanted to start with some of this high level stuff, just maybe this is the low hanging fruit in your business. So it's extending your existing core systems to improve a HR and onboarding process, optimize the way that you're managing your workforce and rostering them, or potentially transforming some of those manual or outdated processes and forms that exist in your business. Potentially it's something more extravagant than that, and it's enabling you to connect to your customer through a portal process. You're going to see some of these things in action today, but given that we've got a short time frame, we're really showing you our shining lights to give you a perspective of how complex a use case can be for the Power Platform to solve, the reality is it can also solve really low-hanging fruit for you as well, from citizen development through to automating process or potentially replacing some of those legacy e-form solutions that you've got. So I'll pass over to my colleague Shazil, who's going to walk you through end-to-end patient journey within low code, and then we'll dive into specific demonstrations. Take it away, Shazil.
Thank you, John. So hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to take you through the next few slides where I'm going to talk about the high-level patient journey and emphasize the areas where we have done some tremendous work to ease the workload of the practitioners and the nurses while providing them with the seamless experience. Now, the patient journey here highlights the AI and the automation capabilities of Power Platform to enhance the patient care, providing efficiency, personalized assistance, and better communication between the patients and the practitioners. Now, the text highlighted in the Velrada color, that's the purple, these are the steps where we have harnessed Microsoft Copilot along with some of the Power Platform components to create the seamless experience for the patients and the practitioners. In this journey, patient will use Power Pages-based interactive portal to perform most of their steps. Now, the journey starts where the patient logs into the self-service portal that's configured using Power Pages and takes a smart assessment by providing answers to some of the questions that are asked by the Azure AI Health Bot. Based on the assessment, this health bot automatically triages the patient and it will redirect them to the appropriate care pathway or department. Patient will then be redirected to the appointment booking page on the portal to find and book an appointment at the clinic through a self-managed portal. This allows basically flexibility in appointment scheduling and also results in a reduced workload for the organization's workforce. Now, once the appointment is set, the patient will start receiving real-time updates through SMS or mobile app notifications about the expected wait times, and these are all configured through Power Automate, which is, again, low-code configuration, which we can do. The consultation is either in person or virtual, offering the patients the convenience of receiving the medical attention from the comfort of their homes, using Power Automate, like using Power Pages and Azure Communication Services. Patients are provided with a portal to attend the team meetings. During the appointment, practitioners have access to the AI tools like CareBot. This will help them streamline their intake and discharge process, making it faster and more efficient. And once that's done, practitioners can now create care plans for the patients as per their needs, right? So they can also seek assistance from the policy bot to check the policies or the regulations and laws for the healthcare services that they are providing. After the consultation, Copilot will be used to generate the structured ISO-bar summary for the consultation based on the team's transcripts, resulting into a valuable time savings for practitioners. They don't have to enter that data manually. They can just speak it, and then system will transform that and put that summary there. Practitioners will then be able to track the test results, provide the referrals or scripts, and then system would be able to send the reminders to the patients for the follow-ups or the scripts expiry and any other tips. So as mentioned earlier, right, highlighted in the Velrada color are the steps where we have utilized Copilot along with the Power Platform components to attain the seamless experience end-to-end for the patients and the practitioners. And now we are going to demo some of these functionalities in the upcoming videos. So like what we are going to show you is a short demo of the self-service appointment booking portal that was created using Power Pages and Copilot, enabling patient-practitioner communication using the Teams and Azure Communication Services. And this video will cover the highlighted part of the patient journey, where the users can log in and not only book or reschedule their appointments, but they can also join the virtual consultations from this portal. Copilot assesses and triages their need and help them step by step to set an appointment. So let's get into that.
Today we will take you through the virtual appointment experience leveraging Microsoft's Cloud for Healthcare solution. From within the patient portal, your patients can schedule in-person, virtual, or immediate appointments where the patient is placed in a queue for the next available practitioner. After the patient selects the relevant specialty from your predetermined list, they are then prompted to complete some personal information. The questions displayed for the patient to complete can be customised to reflect the requirements of your organisation. The patient can be prompted to provide their health insurance, Medicare, or any relevant information as required before joining the call. Once the patient has updated the required information, they are presented with a button to join the queue. By clicking so, they are now waiting in a Teams queue for an available practitioner to commence the call. When a practitioner is logged in to Microsoft's Cloud for Healthcare solution, they have easy visibility of all pending virtual appointments. By clicking on the appointment, the practitioner can join the call. This initiates Microsoft Teams to load, and the practitioner can admit the patient from the waiting room or the lobby. Once the practitioner has admitted the patient into the Teams call, the virtual consultation commences.
Basically, that was the video showing how patient experience can be improved through Power Platform and AI. In the next video, we're going to we are going to get into the practitioner's shoes and show you how their experience can be improved multifold. Right? In this section, we are going to showcase the highlighted part of the journey, where we will demonstrate to you how Copilot will help the practitioner expedite the intake and discharge process, minimizing the delays and lowering the workload of the users there. It will also help the accurate triaging of the patients based on the information provided, and is streamlining all the admin tasks like record creation, etc. So let's go.
Just like any organization, we're going to go to those that have the skills to perform the tasks that we need. So I'm going to go to CareBot to help me navigate Cloud for Healthcare. So I'm going to start with an intake for my patient, Frank Williamson. I'm going to provide their mobile number, which I did not give initially. It's going to go off and see if Frank is already a patient with us, which they are not. So it's going to ask me to enter in some additional information. I'm going to put in their email, their Medicare number. I'm going to choose a date of birth. Frank is very young. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Great. Frank has been created. Now let's ask for the CareBot to do an assessment. Okay, Frank has had an unfortunate cut on their head, and we're going to say that Frank cut themselves yesterday. Okay, CareBot has gone and assessed the patient, determined their age, and any information that I should be providing to this person in form of triage. Then it's going to ask me, do I want to save these details, which of course I do. And then I do in fact want to inform the doctor, because I'm going to move Frank on, and I don't need CareBot right now, so I'm just going to end here. So now that I can go to my patients list, and I should be able to find Frank here with the information that I had provided. We can see that the condition of their horizontal cut on their forehead is appearing there, and we've created our episode of care for our doctor. So as a doctor, I've come in and had a look at this. I'm going to create a care plan for them. We're going to say care plan for Frank. And we're going to end it now because I've given Frank all the advice that they need. Seen me for a few minutes, and I've gone ahead and done that. And I've given any medication or any required assistance that Frank may need as part of being a doctor. And I will go ahead and set them up to be discharged today. I go back to my care bot. I can ask who should be discharged. So everyone's been seen. It can get me a list of the discharged people, and Frank is now on there, being that their care plan is ending today.
AI can help reduce delays by speeding up intake, triage, and discharge processes with better accuracy and efficiency. Now I'm going to hand over to Scott to take you through some of the other quick demo videos.
All right.
Go, Scott.
Thanks, Shazil. Okay, so we've got our aged care policy agent. So corporate entities, services, and employees must comply with a wide range of acts regulations, and policies from various regulators and government departments. So additionally, employees are required to follow a set of internally documented standard operating procedures. When they have questions, employees often have to sift through these documents manually to find an answer, which can be consuming and inefficient. So how did we address this problem? Well, we used Copilot Studio. We created this aged care policy agent. So this tool indexed knowledge sources. It enabled employees to ask a wide range of questions and receive a precise answer directly within Teams. Each answer included a reference to the specific document section from which the information was derived, allowing for a faster comprehension and easy access to the relevant details. This solution enabled quicker understanding and seamless access to any policy updates employees needed to know. And it significantly reduced the time spent searching through internal intranets for critical information. So now let's take a brief look at a demo video that illustrates how this functions.
The Australian government released a new Aged Care Act in 2024. Must adopt these updates into their services. To share this information internally, they used Copilot Studio to provide a Q&A channel across several guideline documents and over 300 pages of the Act.
Okay, so additionally, we also did an AI-infused occupational therapy app. So occupational therapists spend a significant amount of time completing documentation after each consultation, with the initial assessment form being one of their primary tasks. Currently, this form is filled out using Microsoft Word, a very, very old way of doing it. So for therapists who are often on the move, updating a Word document on a mobile device just had become cumbersome and an inefficient process. So we developed an app that was designed to transform this experience by digitizing that occupational therapy assessment form. The app introduces a modern, user-friendly approach incorporating dictation features to streamline the input of large amounts of text. It also generated custom summaries, giving users an easy way to review and take action on that information that was provided. Additionally, we utilize AI models to analyze photos, so automatically identifying the potential risks in the images. Users could then verify, modify it, and integrate these findings directly into their own assessments. The result is an app that greatly enhances the user experience compared to a traditional Word document. I'm sure we're all had that experience. So allowing the frontline workers to focus more on delivering the quality care to their clients, which is the part of their work life that they like, and minimizing the time spent on documentation, which empowered the therapists to achieve better outcomes for their clients. So now let's just show you a brief demo that highlights how it works.
Occupational therapists attend the homes of elderly patients to assess any hazards or risk of harm from their mobility challenges. AI helps to describe and identify risks from photos around the home as well as summarizing their records. This Power App leverages AI builder models and custom prompts to optimize visits.
Hey folks, well, look, I guess you've seen some really cool examples here of what is possible using low code with the Power Platform. Some examples there that are using Power Apps, Power Automate, AI Builder, and some of the really cool Gen AI functionality that Microsoft has introduced into the product. So that you think about that slide you saw before, that Esther presented, the product slide. This is where all of those components are being used. But what's the opportunity for you, right? You've got incumbent systems, you've got disparate data silos across those systems. You might have data warehouses. You might have problems that need to be solved, paper that needs to be digitized. How can you accelerate yourself in that journey? Well, specifically to healthcare, what we're noticing is that technologies like Microsoft Fabric or being able to use the Power Platform to connect into your incumbent systems or your data warehouses means that you can start to build Power Apps that wrap themselves around your existing data and your processes. So just because you might use a specific healthcare system, or you might use a non-Microsoft product, doesn't mean that you can't then build Power Apps that are able to extend that, collect data in the field, or showcase data to folks that need it. Similarly, automation, right? If we're talking about desktop automation, or if we're talking about cloud automation, we're able to find triggers, we're able to schedule actions, and basically use a UI tool to be able to describe what needs to happen when one of those events occur. For example, if something is raised in a system that people need to know about, let's send a notification. If someone submits information that needs to be passed on to a particular individual, let's route that over to that individual. If we need to run a monthly or a weekly report with a list of incidents, then let's produce that Monday at 9 a.m. and let's distribute that to those that need to know it. And this is where Power Automate becomes an incredible tool for being able to extend hyper automation throughout your entire organization. Similarly, Microsoft spoke a little bit there about Copilot Studio. Some of those examples that you saw just before are Copilot Studio. And what this allows us to do is build agents. Now, you could decide to build an agent that knows how to do a very specific thing. For example, answer questions about government acts or regulations. We've worked with many organizations to answer questions about leave policy, how to deal with a safety incident. We've used Copilot Studio both internal facing, so as an agent to help your employees, whether they be sitting at a desk or out in the field. We've also used Copilot Studio external facing, so patients, suppliers, vendors, third parties, contractors can use that to be able to get secure and private access to data or processes. Again, these are very UI friendly tools. You would sort of find that folks aren't writing code. They're actually dragging and dropping and selecting data sources to build this capability. So it really extends the value of low code. Finally, we talk about Power Pages, and this is sort of at the start of that digital patient journey that Shazil was talking about before. Well, this is where we create these web portals so that we can get information in from perhaps patients, caregivers, other third-party providers that perhaps you work with. We're able to validate the information as it comes in, give them access to data that belongs to them, and obviously adhere to stringent privacy policies, etc., and allow you to capture high-quality data in your Power Platform solutions. Power Pages can show data not just from a Power Platform solution, but it can extend it from perhaps an incumbent system, one of those systems that you already have that just doesn't come with a web portal at the moment. So definitely a lot of capability there in low code. Just because the solution isn't rooted in Microsoft doesn't mean that these solutions are off the table. Now, it's all great to say these things and show these ideas, but where can you get started? So this is where we've worked with Microsoft to come up with a low-code proof of value. So we start from square one, right? Let's just put the tech aside for a moment and try and figure out where can low-code actually deliver value for your business. We go through a series of assessments. We try and understand a vision. Where does low-code compete maybe with some of the high code or some of the existing systems? Where can it extend it? Where can it provide both greenfield and brownfield development from an IT perspective? Where can you enable citizen development? So allowing folks within your organizations to create their own tools in the Power Platform instead of always just falling back to using Access, Excel, Microsoft Forms, or another type of solution that as an IT or a cyber or a risk person in your organization, you can't actually control where that data goes and how it's being collected. Finally, we're able to build a roadmap and say, well, if you were to take on low code and perhaps you were to choose Power Platform, what would that look like? What value is that going to give your organization over 3, 6, 12, 18 months? What capabilities do you need to get started? And where is the opportunity in those solutions? So we have quite a flexible engagement that goes for a couple of weeks where we work together to come up with a bit of a plan. Another engagement that we've worked with Microsoft to build is this Copilot Studio value discovery. So Copilot Studio seems really interesting, and organizations go, wow, we really want to use it. And all of a sudden, the AI hammer is making everything look like a nail. So let's just take a big step back and let's find the opportunities where AI is actually viable. And perhaps we need to walk first. Maybe we need to digitize a piece of paper before we start adding AI to it. And this pragmatic approach is something we do in this 1 week process. And we start off with trying to figure out your AI maturity, teaching you and showing you about what these tools can do, trying to understand where it can provide value. And maybe this is for internal solutions, operational solutions, external facing solutions. And we can actually build a little bit of a POC as well. And that's going to deliver 2 things. One, how does the tech work? And that's going to appease the techies in the organization. And 2, how does it work in practice? And that's going to allow you to show the business where the value of these solutions come into play as well. So definitely something that's quite flexible. And we're seeing a lot of organizations, and I've noticed in the poll, a lot of folks are saying they're in that exploration and planning phase. This type of engagement is absolutely perfect for that. And finally, if you haven't already said it internally or said it out loud at the screen, well, what about all the governance here? What about privacy? What about security? We talk about citizen development. Well, how do we make sure that we put guardrails around that? There are absolutely solutions for that too. Microsoft has invested heavily in making sure these governance and security and privacy controls are in place for their low-code platform. We have worked with Microsoft as well, giving them feedback from what our customers say. So we're able to assist and consult into establishing a center of excellence, a center of practice, and putting those foundations in place so that if you decide that low code is the answer, how can you do so in a very strategic and pragmatic way, making sure that you've got all of the things considered around security, environments, building your internal capability, building reference architectures, integrating into your existing databases or data sources, as well as maybe having some proofs of concept or pilots to be able to get you started and understand the technology as well. We've worked with dozens of organizations around the globe to get them on their way using this. Now, sometimes the horse is bolted. You might already be using the Power Platform. And again, I looked in the poll and I've seen that some of you are already using the Power Platform. And we've worked with organizations that have hundreds or even thousands of Power Apps and Power Automate flows that have been created that maybe IT did or didn't know about. And we need to try and get some governance around that. So again, that's not an end of the world situation. You can actually start to reclaim some of that control. All right. Well, look, that's everything that I need to say. I'll throw it across to Jordan.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. And thanks everybody for being here today. We're right on time. We've got 10 minutes of time saved at the end here for open Q&A. And so I would, open it up to anybody to fire something into the chat or into the Q&A options. We've got the entire panel here. I don't know if everybody wants to jump into the room and potentially we've got a few questions that can be answered. Look, just in case you're thinking of stuff or typing in, I'll maybe start by clarifying just in case we skimmed over it. The first 2 use cases that we showed touched into the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare, which is Microsoft's industry configured offering for health organizations. And so there are many aspects to the Microsoft Cloud for Healthcare. We would need a session on its own to give you a run through of all that is offered in there. But effectively, the screens that you saw are the core Dynamics 365 components of the Cloud for Healthcare that enable you to manage your entire patient lifecycle. In the use cases that we showed, we were leveraging the Power Platform and Copilot Studio to augment those core processes in the Cloud for Healthcare and D365. The reality is, in your organization, that could be an existing patient administration system or EMR. You may choose to wrap that with the Cloud for Healthcare, depending on the version of that platform that you're on. Or you could just leverage the Power Platform to extend that line of business system yourself. Is there anyone out there that has got any questions for us around the Cloud for Healthcare, or of course any specific questions on what we've shown today or the Power Platform?
I might fire a question for you guys.
Yeah.
On behalf of customers, obviously, this is something that we get asked a lot is, what's the quickest time you've rolled out a Copilot chatbot?
Fantastic question.
One day. And look, I say that because we've had customers come to us and say, we've got a pile of PDFs here that we don't want people to read. We want them to be able to answer a question very quickly. So sometimes on the call with the customer and coming back to do some refinements, we've been able to say, well, look, taking all of this unstructured data and being able to do Q&A over the top of it, here is what we've been able to produce. Now, after that, we refine a little bit, right? So we look at some telemetry in relation to what types of questions are being asked. Are there any questions that haven't been answered, or are there questions that can be answered better? And we've been able to then refine the solution as we go. So it's not set and forget. I think any AI solution requires some of that, love and care to be able to continue making it better. But then we're able to leave it off and know that it's actually a solution that's providing an incredible amount of value. When we talk about structured data, and structured data is when it's maybe in a SQL database, or it's in your Oracle system, or it's in Dynamics 365 or Dataverse. Again, we follow the same principles, but we probably do a little bit more upfront to understand what questions that people are asking. And we might be able to produce something over 3 to 4 days in a very agile way, and we call it a design sprint, just to be super cool. And within the week, they're able to roll that out to customers. Roll that out to their users and get some feedback pretty quickly.
Awesome. I've got a follow-up. Another one that we get a lot. Did you have to replicate and pull out all the data from your, core or legacy knowledge repository, or did you have the Copilot chatbot just point to them?
Look, that's an option, but you don't need to do that. So what we're able to do is use connectors inside a Copilot Studio to be able to connect to those cloud sources, or that there's APIs that might be wrapped around your incumbent systems. If you're hosting something on-prem or in private cloud, we can use your own APIs and we can connect that securely to Copilot Studio, or we can build those for you as well. And that allows you to basically plumb in. Now, the next thing to think about is security. If I'm asking a question about my data, how do I know that that's only going to query data that I should be allowed to access? So these are all things that we consider as part of that designing that solution, and these are things that we can assert. The other option that you've got on the table is to look at your data warehouse. Maybe you're using Microsoft Fabric, but you could be using Snowflake, or maybe some of the traditional Azure data services as well. All of these are possibilities. There's an incredible amount of flexibility in how these solutions can be stood up.
I think there's a question in the Q&A.
Yeah, so from Darren Roy, what's the strangest use case that we've come across?
Strangest? I don't know. I haven't seen anything.
Well, unique. I think it was
Unique.
the domain unique. Yeah.
You know what? I always laugh at some of the use cases that get given to us and I go, oh, you're just being lazy. Awesome. Let's create a Copilot Studio solution for that, because who wants to answer questions for people, right? Sometimes that's the best value. Look, it's being able to intercept emails and automatically reply back. Is some of the great laziness types of things. But to be fair, you're freeing up a resource who's sitting there answering a shared mailbox all day. They can do real work, and 2 hours of answering questions out of their day has just been freed up with a Copilot Studio solution that's returning an ROI within weeks. So definitely some of those. Where we are using the AI builder capability, like you saw that one to be able to describe an image. Well, everyone's got eyes, so they can see that there's a staircase or a rail in that bathroom or whatever it might be. But actually, it's not strange because someone has to sit down at the end of that interaction or the end of that shift and remember or look at a photo and type these things in, and we miss things. So if the AI is able to do 60 or even 80% of the work for us, we get so much time back in our day, or it helps us out when we might miss things. It's sitting in the co-pilot seat. It's not sitting in the pilot seat. I think that still stands true, but it's able to really assist in that respect.
I've actually got one interesting use case. I spoke about it in one of our recent summits in a university in Netherlands. Actually, one of the professors used Copilot Studio to build a chatbot simulation game experience type. So if you've ever been to escape rooms, that is the experience that they deliver to train their students on real life scenarios. So really interesting one.
Yeah, wow. And look, I think one of the observations that I've seen as we've started to do more with Copilot Studio with customers is that I guess the first initial thought is that it is going to be applied to a traditional Q&A style use case. But I think more often than not, it's quickly identified that Q&A needs to turn into that agent being able to go and perform an action. And so, for those on the call, that's obviously what we saw in action in most of those use cases that we showed today. And the speed in which you're able to do that is quite remarkable. That if you've got a database or a data warehouse somewhere and you want to enable someone to query leave or ask a question about a leave policy and then be able to then submit a leave request, these things are easily done and done in no code in days of effort rather than I guess the historic scenario of needing to build an entire customization to a third-party system.
We've got another question in the Q&A as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so we've got what kind of support have you found is required in terms of resourcing this to stand up and then maintain? We have a two-man IT team supporting the business currently with mountains of BAU and projects clawing for the same pool of resources. Fantastic question.
Yeah, look, and I think one of the things that we're noticing about low code is it's able to make, a two-person team look really good. Because you're able to build solutions rather quick compared to maybe some of the high code solutions that might be expected. We've worked with an organization recently that have an 8-month queue for anything high code, and they might be using React or .NET to build something, but then they've been able to go, well, actually that's quite easy. Let me just quickly deploy that for you in a day or two, or someone over here in a week or two. Here's a Power App with some Power Automate using Dataverse. And let me add some AI to that as well, if you like. So it's able to make those folks look really effective. Now, when it comes to managing and maintaining those solutions, there is an incredible amount of reporting, telemetry coming out of the Microsoft Power Platform that can help you support. And because it's low code as well, you're looking at a lot of visual things. So you can actually find problems visually a lot better than having to trawl through code as well, attach your debugger. If you're using the Center of Excellence Toolkit, which is free from the Microsoft PowerCat team, that helps you with the scope and scale of maybe citizen development, or if you've got multiple Power Platform solutions as well. But look, really keen to understand maybe if you reach out some of those problems and some of those scaling things that you might want to consider, and see how Power Platform can work really well for you there.
And I guess from a talent point of view, there are heaps of structured learning pathways available for existing developers and just interested citizens to learn the Power Platform. And so, look, certainly your Microsoft account team and we can point you and your team in the direction of some of those resources. We find that our more mature Power Platform customers have used a combination of attracting talent into the business that have existing understanding of the Microsoft suite, and that learning pathway for any of their existing developers. And so generally speaking, I would say that if you've got people that have got a software engineering background in .NET or similar, that they would be perfectly skilled enough to be able to pick up the Power Platform in a short space of time. And similarly, if you've got a team in-house that are supporting a M365 environment that are comfortable with SharePoint Online extension, etc., there's really neat training pathways for those folks to transition into Power Platform. And from an administrative perspective, it's much the same. So under the hood, you'll be comfortable to support the platform in that same way.
I think there's a follow-up question in the Q&A.
Okay, so we've got, thanks for the question, Annika. So we've got, for an org with no structured properly integrated data layers, what would you recommend for a 500 plus business to start for a base layer data solutions to support this?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So there's probably a little less known tool called Microsoft Purview in the Microsoft stack. Really great tool for being able to catalog and understand where your data is, how to classify it, look at where data is being replicated as well. You might have a patient is represented here, but it's also represented there. So that's actually one of the things that we like to do as a foundational step, is just go, well, what's the data landscape look like? Then starting to build up a data platform in Microsoft Fabric. Look, we've seen case studies where people have done this within a week or two, to be able to bring data into one place, and again, decorate it with all of the classifications and all of that metadata to understand what it is and why it's important. But when it comes to being able just to point a Power App at one of those systems or one of those data sources, you might decide to build a Power App that is tactical, that can interact with that, whilst you start to build your data platform and then migrate that Power App solution to being more of a strategic solution that's based on that data platform. And again, look, we've worked with organizations that have said, oh, look, we're going through an SAP or an Oracle upgrade, or whatever it might be, but that's all going to come to a head in 12 months' time. We've got a problem now. So we've been able to build Power Apps that have delivered value very quickly, that talk to their old systems, knowing that they can then be dislocated and reattached to their new systems when that time comes as well. So the Power Platform can absolutely provide tactical and not just long-term strategic solutions as well.
And we're a little over time, but I'll just let everybody know, I just popped a link in response to your comment there, Annika, with regards to the Azure Health Data Services and Azure Health Data Solutions that are available in Fabric. Of course, I would say this, but in comparison to the alternative data platform offerings in market, the health data accelerators that you get with Fabric are reason enough for you to go with the platform, aside from the fact that it's likely to be more cost effective and more encompassing than the alternatives. Feel free to fire any questions to us directly, and happy to take that on. There's some really, really cool stuff in there available and coming to Australia in the very near future. And it will help you get started with your common data model for managing all of the health informatics that your organization might have. So look, thanks everybody very much for joining today, and we hope that you found the session insightful. We've tried to keep it short and sharp on a Friday to respect everybody's time, but of course we could talk about this stuff all day, every day. So feel free to reach out to any of the Microsoft and Velrada team, and we look forward to seeing you release value from the Power Platform in the near future.